feels good to be back.
There is Caleb Ewan.
It's getting harder and harder with guys like that.
This is Tadej Pogačar.
I probably wasn't fulfilling their expectation and they kind of just lost faith in me. The best thing I can do is try to get back to winning ways, get that confidence back.
Turvo-Man, we've counted very few sprint stages. How does this play into your 2024 season?
Yeah, there's actually only, I think, one sprint opportunity, so it's not ideal. But I think if I look at like the bigger picture of the season, I've got some harder races coming up now. Torino, San Remo, where I'm going to have to climb pretty good. So I think after we get the first sprint out of the way, hopefully a good result there, and then I guess the rest of it will be training.
We heard you talk about Milan-San Remo, and that I think is one of your first big goals, or if not the first big goal for you. It's one of those races that seems easy to win, but is hard to win. What are all the life lessons you learned from that race over the years, and what, if anything, can you take into 2024 to try to win it?
Yeah, to be honest, there's not much I can learn from my previous kind of editions, because at the end of the day, the two times I was second, there was one guy away. I mean, in a scenario like that, there's not much I can do. I think I'll have a stronger team this year with me. Michael Matthews will do it, so you can always guarantee that he'll get over the Poggio. So maybe if we get over together, we have each other to, you know, he can either help me depending on how he's feeling, or I can help him. And it just makes a huge difference when you actually do have a teammate over the top.
How hard is it to go against those guys like Pogačar and Van der Poel that seem to be able to do it all, especially Van der Poel or Van Aert?
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder with guys like that. But yeah, you know, if I can follow them or kind of be close to them at the top of Poggio, then I think usually I can beat them in the sprint, but it all depends on how you get to the finish, because, you know, it's a 300k race, so, you know, sometimes your legs are good when you hit the Poggio, sometimes you hit the Poggio and they're absolutely toast, so it just depends.
I guess I should say welcome back. You're back in the colors of your home team. It's a new chapter, but also kind of returning to your roots. What does it feel like to be back and racing with this team? You've already done it in Tour Down Under.
Yeah, it feels good to be back. You know, it was nice being in a Belgian team, but it's nothing like being in kind of like the team that, you know, the culture that you're from, same sense of humor and things like that. So at the dinner table, it's, you know, a bit easier. No Dutch speaking, obviously. So yeah, I mean, it was an easy transition for me. Obviously, being back in the same team as I was, it's not like changing teams completely again. A lot of familiar faces, so it is a nice transition back.
Part of the conversation coming back was that you wouldn't do the Tour de France. And that's kind of why you maybe left to begin with 4, 5, 6 years ago. Was that a big issue for you, or was that just part of, like, you accepted that's kind of what the team wanted to do?
Yeah, to be honest, it's not a big issue, because kind of once you make the decision and you make your goals for the year, you kind of just focus on that and not the things that you're not doing. So the good thing is, like, I'll have the opportunity now to try to finish the Giro, which I haven't done before. I always had to kind of like pull out early and then start preparing for the Tour. Whereas now, yeah, it'll be nice to actually try to finish it. So yeah, it's just a bit of a different program, but I think it'll still be a good one.
And how has it been for you? I mean, it's kind of been frustrating perhaps for you the last year or two. How important is it for you to get back to your kind of winning ways again this season for you?
Yeah, it is important. Like you said, yeah, 2 pretty average seasons for me. So yeah, I think the best thing I can do is try to get back to winning ways, get that confidence back, and then usually from there it kind of flows.
And you're confident in the team, obviously, give you support in the races you go to. You'll have a good, strong lead-out train in those key races for you.
Yeah, they'll always give me at least a few guys for the lead-out. So, so yeah, you know, we have some work to do for sure. But as you do usually when you start with a new team, you kind of have to iron out some of the problems, and then once you kind of work together more, you learn how each other rides, and then it becomes a bit more of a natural flow. So we're just working on getting that, so hopefully before the Giro.
How has the sprinting game changed in the last few years? Or has it changed, or is it still kind of the same?
I think it has changed. It seems to be a lot more good sprinters. Whereas I'd say like a few years ago, there was maybe 2 or 3 guys that were kind of always winning. Whereas now, like if I look at the Giro last year, I think there was like 7 sprints and then 7 different sprinters won a stage. So I don't remember a time where it was like that before. It was always kind of at least 1 or 2 just dominant sprinters. So that kind of means it is getting harder to win. You have to really nail your sprint every time, because you know, like either in front of you or behind you, there's going to be a good sprinter lining you up, and you know, if you go too early and start fading, you know there's going to be a quick guy coming. Or if you leave it too late, then maybe, you know, you're not going to be quick enough to come around the guy in front of you. So I think it's getting harder to win in that sense, that you have to really nail it every time.
So those wins probably mean more in that context.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when it is harder to win and eventually you do win, it definitely does feel better.
Just looking at Sanremo, it's always been called the Sprinters Classic, but some people have said that it's no longer the Sprinters Classic. How do you view it, because it is so explosive now, with he was mentioning riders like that taking on the race in a different way?
Yeah, I don't think it's a Sprinters Classic anymore. I can't even remember the last time it was a sprint there. Yeah, it must have been years ago. So yeah, it is definitely getting harder and harder to win, especially with those guys like Van der Poel, who can climb really well, sprint really well. Yeah, I mean, there's not much I can do about it. I just have to try to get over the Poggio in good shape as possible, and hopefully I can back myself like against those guys if I do get over in reasonable condition. But yeah, for sure it's getting harder and harder.
Can you give us the quick summary of what happened with your former team and why you changed teams?
Well, I think they had an expectation of me. I probably wasn't fulfilling their expectation. And then they kind of just lost faith in me. And then, to be honest, from then it was just hard to perform. Because I think to perform you really need a team that has a lot of faith in you, backs you every time. But yeah, I feel like they probably stopped backing me. And then yeah, it was just kind of, I think it was probably a bit their fault, a bit my fault. But yeah, in the end, I think we just couldn't really work together that well anymore. So I think sometimes it happens with athletes and sports teams. Sometimes they just fall out of love with each other, and that's what happened.
And you talked about the last 2 years, and you want to get back to your best. Is that perhaps going to be the spring to your step in 2024?
Yeah, I hope so. And you know, I've definitely now come to a team that does have faith in me and has faith that I can get back to my top level. I still believe I can get there as well. So yeah, I'm hoping for that first win with the team, hopefully here, and if not, maybe in Tirreno. And then yeah, there's some big races coming up in the year. So yeah, before then my career was always kind of like going up and up and up, and then maybe there was this dip. But you just kind of have to, you know, keep faith, keep working hard, and hoping that it'll kind of come back. And I still feel good, like I still feel capable. And if I look to like numbers and everything, then I'm probably stronger than I was a few years ago. But obviously the sport's growing as well. So yeah, I think I can definitely get back to where I was. And like I said, I just need a team that has a bit of faith in me, and you know, this team supports me a lot. So I think I can get there. In the Tour, for example, last year, I'd look back on it, and my team would probably look back on it as a bad Tour, but still, you know, it's still second and third, almost won a stage. Results like that still give me faith that, like, all right, I'm not too far off the mark. It's not like I'm coming 10th every sprint and nowhere near the win. So, like I said, I think I just need to keep chipping away at it, keep working hard, and all it takes, I think, is just getting that confidence back, and then once that's back, hopefully it just kind of flows from there. I think the pressure is probably different right now, because either, you know, if you have a really good season, there's always the pressure to back it up, and if you have a bad season, there's the pressure to kind of get back to the. So every year, regardless of whether it was good or bad, you always have the pressure. So it's something that I just had to deal with my whole career, and yeah, it's the same now. I've got the pressure now to kind of like come back to a good level, and yeah, you just learn to deal with it.
How much difficult is train for sprint from zero, and how much is important to have a good relationship with your teammates also outside racing?
Yeah, it is important. You know, you have to all kind of have faith in each other. I'd like to sit on the back of a lead out and just kind of switch off and let them do their thing, but I guess like in order to do that, then you know, they need to learn how you like to ride a bit. So there is like a lot more communication at the start before it becomes like, you know, easy to like flow through with them. So yeah, this period of the season is just all about like getting to know each other, seeing how my lead out men ride through the bunch, if they go through certain gaps or not, or you just like look for little signs, like, you know, when they finish their turn, and it just, I guess it just becomes easier and easier as you race more. You have to get on, I think, as well off the bike, because you know, if you're really good, like say friends with them, then they're gonna want to give you, you know, 110%. If they don't like you, then maybe they're not going to give you their all. So yeah, it is important. Yeah, well, I think I'm definitely over halfway in my career. I can't see myself going for another 10 years. So, yeah, 29 now, turning 30 this year. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just now you don't know how long you've got left. You know, if I have 2 more bad years, then it's kind of career over. So, so I'm kind of hoping that I can kind of get to a better level again, win some more races, and kind of prolong it, you know, a little bit longer. Hopefully, at least get to, I don't know, 35, 36. Like I said, I'm not going to go to 40, but a little bit longer would be nice. Yeah.